without further ado, let's get to our first main stage guest, who's going to be joining me in a conversation, which I'm personally excited about. And I know there's a lot of curiosity around this topic in general. Today, we're going to be talking about the transformational power of NFTs in the psychedelic space. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are wondering what the hell an NFT is. You've probably heard it, on the news and really don't totally understand it. So we're definitely going to get into a little bit about what that is and why it's important. And what does it have to do with psychedelics? Amanda Reiman is a social scientist who has been studying the relationship between people and the cannabis plant and society for over 20 years. She founded Personal Plants in 2020 to help people develop deeper relationships with plant medicine through home cultivation. Please welcome Amanda Reiman. Hey, Amanda.
Hi, it's so good to see you. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday.
Yes, happy Wednesday. Happy Psychedelic and Plant Medicine Social Day.
Same to you.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for being here at our social. We really appreciate all your work that you've been doing in the plant medicine space. We know about it, but can you share a little bit about yourself and a little bit more about your background and specifically your relationship with plant medicine and psychedelics?
Absolutely. So I became a medical cannabis patient back in the early 90s. I was diagnosed with arthritis at a very young age and was looking to avoid some of the treatments that were being shoved my way. I lived in Chicago. Cannabis was very, very illegal and it was very difficult to get. Now, I'm totally aging myself, but we didn't have cell phones. We had pagers. We had to wait by the phone. We didn't know at all what was in that baggie or whether it was worth the money we were being charged for it. And it was really sporadic. So there were long periods of time where I didn't have access to medicine and I just had to deal with the pain. And so I wanted to grow my own because I felt like this was going to be the way that I was going to ensure that I had a stable supply of high quality medicine. I had no idea what I was doing. I lived in a tiny apartment in downtown Chicago. And for a good year, I spent time trying to grow cannabis. I would glue aluminum foil to the inside of refrigerator boxes and then go to Ace Hardware and get some LED lights and try to do a rig up in my living room. It just was never working. And then I finally invested in a real high pressure sodium light and did a little rig in my closet. And that is when I grew my first cannabis plant. I had no idea how to dry it or cure it or anything. So it basically turned to dust. But it was the most wonderful dust that I had ever smoked. And it really made me understand that having that relationship with the plant was an extremely important part of the equation. And it was something that we didn't get under prohibition. So when I went to California in 2002 to start the PhD program at Berkeley, I kind of fell in the lap of this medical cannabis revolution where you had dispensaries, patients could go in and actually see the plant, touch the plant, smell the plant, have all kind of sensory experiences when choosing their medicine and had a stable supply of it. And I thought, wow, what an amazing public health care model. So I ended up studying it. And that's really how I got involved in research, was studying the early dispensaries in the San Francisco Bay Area. I also understood that in order to ensure that people had access to a quality tested product, regulations were inevitable. And so now I'm really trying to better understand that balance between building a relationship with the plant, having that hands-on experience, and ensuring the public health and safety of a regulated, safe, and tested product. So I've worked for NGOs doing reform work. I've worked inside the cannabis industry. And then I started Personal Plants in 2020. I will say that now my current job is that I am Vice President of Public Policy Research for New Frontier Data. I love it because I am a scientist, and this really gives me the opportunity to look at large amounts of information on cannabis consumers, which is like a dream come true.
Wow. How amazing that you were able to, tap into this part of yourself and matchmake with the things that you're passionate about and the things that we really need more advocates on and people who are willing to dig around in. Like, we need more data. And how do we actually get that data? It's really kind of curious to me. we're just the beginning stages in like the legal market, it feels like, in so many different places, and new states coming online with different things and legalities too. Here in Oregon, we passed Measure 109, which legalized psilocybin for therapeutic use. And so there's like going to be a whole new world of data that's coming to the surface. So, bouncing around a little bit here, we're here to talk about NFTs because this is a new and exciting project that you're working on. And there's a lot of curiosity around what NFTs even are. So why don't we open the conversation there with like, what is an NFT? Is it just for tech bros? Is it just for people who own Bitcoin? And why do people like us need to be paying attention to what's happening in the NFT space?
So, that's a great question. And, I don't mind aging myself. I'm 45, and I very keenly remember the advent of the internet. And I remember being an adult when the internet came online and thinking this was something I didn't understand at all. I remember having a tutorial in my home about what websites were and what the World Wide Web was and how you could use different web addresses. And it just seemed so foreign to me, and something that I had never ever experienced, even though I had been using computers since I was a child. So I think putting ourselves in that frame of mind, of this is an evolution in technology that sounds really amorphous and weird and intimidating, just like the internet did back when we first heard about it. And now it's just so commonplace. I mean, I can't imagine how people reacted to the first telephone, the first automobile, really shifting the way that they think about things. So I will preface this by saying this isn't some kind of like world changing thing in the sense that we haven't been through this before. This is an evolution of technology that's responding to very real concerns about transparency and the real need for centralized control of things like money, of things like art, of things like communities. So that's just a little preface. So what is an NFT? An NFT is just a token that shows membership or ownership of something. So if you think about your membership card to your local gym, then when you go into the gym, they scan that card and your name comes up and your picture, and they're like, okay, this belongs to you. You get all the privileges of being a member. Now, you could say, well, people lose their cards. It's really difficult to give people perks and other things directly into their membership when they have these physical cards. Somebody could impersonate someone. So there's kind of these concerns. Now, this is on a very, very basic level. So what if instead of having your physical card, you instead just had an NFT of that gym membership that you paid for, that you didn't have to do anything when you went into the gym, except maybe just show your phone and scan it, and it comes up with that you're a member, that the gym could load on perks to their members, like discounts at local health food stores and things like that, without having to physically give them anything. And so that's really the idea behind NFTs, is how do we create a token of membership or ownership that is digital and that is then registered on the blockchain, which is this transparent ledger of who owns what. So, and that's basically it. Like that is like, it's a utility. It's not, we'll get into like the whole artwork and profile pictures, but that is really just how people are using the utility right now. But an NFT at its heart is a utility.
And for those who don't know what NFT stands for, NFT stands for non-fungible token, and it's an abbreviation. And, you can, Amanda talked about this a little bit, but, I've been exploring this for about a year and learning a lot as I go. And I'm very excited to help bring this to the community so we can all understand, like, why does this matter to us? Because it kind of seems like something other people do. And even as tech friendly as I am, I had that thought. And if I had that thought, I know a lot of other people have that thought. And so with NFTs, there's a lot of freedom and excitement around what you could possibly do with not just art, but music and other types of files, video files. I was just talking with a filmmaker the other day who was thinking about making NFTs for her film. And, how does that work? And it's like a collectible piece of digital It's a digital file that's collectible. You can have one of them, you can have 100 of them, depending on what the creator of that particular file had a desire to do. There's a lot of people who are also making like collections that have like 10,000 pieces, and I'm excited to learn more about your project and what's going on there. But, NFTs, they're going to be here probably for the extension of our lifetime. I don't think it's a trend that's coming and going. I think it's going to be here for a very long time. And so if you know that now and you start to kind of absorb, maybe you're not ready to like go all in on making one, but buying one, or, trying to find what your relationship is with this and being okay with asking questions. We were talking earlier with Wendy, who is on our team, and it was just kind of thinking about how it's hard sometimes and you don't know what something is and you're afraid to ask questions about it. You're afraid to feel stupid, and that's part of the education piece and part of the conversation piece. It's okay to not know. It's okay to not know it all. And there's always new stuff coming out. Like, I feel like with trends, with clothes, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't even keep up because there's just too much going on. But I'll know like what the color of the season is. It's kind of like, you don't have to know everything is what I'm trying to say. So that being said, I hear the words like Web3 a lot, and I'm just wondering if you can explain that to us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as the internet has evolved, our role as a consumer of the internet has also evolved. So, again, I go back to the very beginnings of the internet where it was just kind of like chat rooms. You could post things on message boards, perhaps, and people could read it, but you couldn't really talk back and forth. You could go to a website and you could read about what items a store had in the store, but you couldn't buy them from the website. You then had to go to the physical store to buy the item. So the internet at first, Web 1.0, was pretty passive. You were gathering information, you were doing things with it, but there really was no interaction. Web 2.0 is what we have now, and that's really web commerce. So it's being able to go into a store, buy things, Amazon, have it delivered to you, going on social media. They're collecting information about you. They're using that information in order to target ads towards you. You really become more of a piece of commerce than you do an individual in Web 2 world. And so the idea behind Web 3 was kind of what's going to be the next level. And all of the concerns about this, hey, I go to this social media site, they're collecting all this information about me. It's all centralized into basically one database that one company owns, and I have no control over how they're using that data. Web3 is seeking to right those wrongs by making things more decentralized. So giving people more control about how their information is used, how much people know about them on the internet, allowing more anonymity, and we can talk about why that's a double-edged sword. But it's really younger people who are responding to the way Web 2.0 was built, which they feel is an invasion of privacy and really isn't objective. That it really has an agenda, and that agenda is set by the handful of companies that are seeking to gather this information. So Web3 is trying to be power back more in the hands of the people about what your experience on the internet is like, where you go, who knows that, and how to make your transactions there way safer and more secure. I think another component of Web3, although this doesn't define it, is the ability to have more virtual and immersive experiences, which really comes more through hardware technology like Oculus, where individuals can go into a virtual world, they can play games, they can watch movies. And I think Web3 is going to be a framework that supports that kind of technology. But in and of itself, it's really more about how we interact with the internet, who owns that information, and how much we get to control what's known about us.
I've definitely been feeling that a lot from my experience over the last year of like how exciting this is for everyday people who might have more accessibility to controlling their own data, and the transparency that's happening from the crypto movement. I know we could talk about this a lot, and there's probably a lot of conversations that we could have around this whole movement, but I think it's a good segue to talking about the power of NFTs in the psychedelic space. How does this translate to what we're talking about today and to plant medicine?
I think it's through community. I think it's through community. So, as we all know, I mean, we're all here, we found each other. But prior to the internet, finding community around stigmatized behaviors was very, very difficult. And a lot of times it had to be done in secret. With Web 2, we have the ability to find each other, to interact with each other on the internet. But I feel like there's a step beyond. And that's what we're seeing with Web 3, with the opportunity to help people engage with the plants. One of the reasons I started Personal Plants was because as legalization was taking off and as commercialization was taking off, I was seeing a bigger and bigger disconnect between individuals and the plant. Just like our food, it just became like this pre-packaged thing that you couldn't even look at or smell or touch prior to buying. You really didn't know where it came from. And that was a concern for me. And so I was thinking, how do we connect people back with the source? And for me, a lot of that is cultivating your own. But I think in the Web3 immersive experience realm, we have the opportunity to bring people up close and personal with their huachuma, with their mushrooms, with the plants that they're going to be consuming, give them a sense of where these plants come from, and more importantly, what communities have been shepherding these plants while we were trying to figure out our laws. But through that, not only give people more of a respect for the plant, but in the end, have a better consumption experience. So how do we utilize this excitement about this new digital world, about this ability to build community through NFTs being a gated token to that community? And how do we marry it with behaviors that have been traditionally stigmatized, but where education and actual immersive experience is paramount to really doing the topic justice? And I think this is where it's going to go.
So you've been working on a project called SACRXD GARDN. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it is and how the community might be able to get involved?
Absolutely. So SACRXD GARDN is kind of like the Web3 sister to Personal Plants. And we were thinking, how do we take this interest in growing plants and learning about plants? We have a physical SACRXD GARDN in Oakland. You can order seeds and cuttings from the Personal Plants site. We sell chacruna and huachuma and ayahuasca cuttings. So we were like, how do we take that experience and excitement and then use the Web3 community to build something even bigger? And that's where we came up with the idea of SACRXD GARDN. SACRXD GARDN is a Web3 platform. We do our own projects, but we also host other projects that are aimed at supporting the plant medicine community, at fundraising for the plant medicine community. And our idea is to kind of build this umbrella organization that can host opportunities for people in cannabis and in plant medicine who want to raise money, who want to do brand promotion, but in this NFT world. I've learned a whole lot about it. I'm very lucky to know some very talented developers who know a whole lot more about it than I do. So I think that there is a space to bring some of that to this mission, this passion that people in our community have for supporting plant medicine.
And what are some of the organizations that you're working with to support?
So right now, currently, we have an auction that is going on. It is an NFT auction. It is happening on our site, which is sacredgarden.com without the E's. It's easier to say that than to spell it out. So sacredgarden.com, lose the E's, /auction. So Dr. Sue Sisley, who many of you probably know, total badass cannabis researcher, Schedule I DEA license to grow cannabis and mushrooms for research. We are doing an auction to benefit her nonprofit, which is called Field to Healed. So if you go to our website, if you go to the auction page, you can bid on an NFT. And the winner is going to get both the NFT and is going to get a physical piece, a physical art piece done by an amazing woman artist in Arizona named Tracy Dove. And if you've never bid on an NFT before and you have no idea, go to the FAQ section of our website and we spell it out. What is a crypto wallet? What is crypto? What is minting? What is a blockchain? and really lead you through the process. So I would say, check that out. This is our very first project. We really wanted to lead with something that was philanthropic. And then next, we're going to be launching our own series of NFTs that are going to be 3D scans of entheogenic plants. And there's going to be all kinds of utility built into that NFT. And a portion of those proceeds are going to go to Chacruna and their Indigenous Reciprocity Initiative. Which is an amazing work that they do, just helping with the self-sufficiency of communities that work with plant medicine. So I think the opportunity is amazing. If anybody out there is thinking, wow, we could do this great project to raise money, or we have this art that we would really love to see get out there, please get in touch. I really want to talk to folks that see the potential here, and really build this community in this new virtual world.
I'm nerding out right now. I'm like kind of freaking out because I'm just like, oh my God, there's so much potential here in general to bridge technology with plants. And some people might say those two things should be separate, but in this case, I feel like it's so beneficial to actually utilize the momentum of this moment to be a bridge and to be bridge makers with this plant medicine movement, which is so ancient and so old, but so helpful and so new in its ability to, in its legalization movement here in the United States and across the world. And I'm just so grateful for you reaching out and letting us know about this amazing project that you're working on. And I can't wait for more. I can't wait to check it out. Check out Sacred Garden, everybody. And is there anything else you think is really important, for the community to know before we hop to it?
Yes. Most of the people, not most, but a higher percentage than you would expect of people that are involved in NFTs are women and people of color. And I think that there's something there for as many tech bros that are engaged in this. There are a lot of folks that are like, you know what? The typical system has placed a lot of barriers between me and wealth, between me and opportunity. And I'm going to take this matter into my own hands. So if that's you and this really appeals to you, do your learning. I mean, I spent all of holidays last year with literally Googled crypto for dummies, NFTs for dummies, blockchain for dummies. And I watched videos that told me about it like I was 5 years old, but it really helped me grasp this. And I do think it's an amazing opportunity, especially for very entrepreneurial minded women who really like to take advantage of a new space. And it's here. It's here.
It's here. And in celebration of this moment in time and this exciting and the exciting momentum that's happening, I made my first NFT literally yesterday.
Yay!
I've been playing around with different formats and stuff. And for those of you who want to check it out, I'm just going to pop my link here. I do some digital work outside of Tokeativity. And I wanted to share this with you. I'm also helping some folks who want to create NFTs, or they're trying to think about how to do that part of it. And I hope in the future that we're going to be bringing some of this work into Tokeativity land. I'm so excited to make this bridge into the cannabis and psychedelic movement space. Thank you so much for joining us today. And everybody check out Sacred Garden and keep up with Amanda on all the socials. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Lisa. Anytime. This has been wonderful.